There's this health alert that's been kind of quietly spreading across parts of Asia, and it's all about a virus you've maybe never heard of, but trust me, scientists have had their eyes on it for years. It's called the Nipah virus. So in this explainer, we're going to break down what it is, where it comes from, and, why it's suddenly popping back up on our radar.
Okay, so what's the first clue that something's up? Well, you'll see it in the airports. Right now, in parts of Asia, passengers getting off certain flights are being met with health screenings. And let's be real, whenever you see that kind of official response, you just know they're worried about something, and it's probably something serious.
So what could possibly trigger that level of international concern? I mean, what are they even looking for? Well, the answer is the return of a pathogen that, frankly, has a really dangerous history.
And the culprit is the Nipah virus. Now, it's what scientists call a zoonotic virus, which is really just a fancy way of saying it jumps from animals to people. But here's the part that'll make you sit up and listen. Right now, there is absolutely no known cure.
Okay, to really get why this is happening right now, we've got to go straight to the source of the current alert. So let's start our journey with a recent outbreak in West Bengal, India.
And this is where the story gets really interesting. The outbreak itself, it's tiny. We're talking just 2 confirmed cases. But look at the response. Health officials immediately tracked down and tested nearly 200 people who might have been exposed. And even though not a single case has been found outside of India, countries like Thailand and Taiwan are already screening passengers. That tells you everything you need to know about how seriously they're taking this.
So, why the huge reaction for just 2 cases, right? Well, this quote from an expert, Lauren Sauer, really hits the nail on the head. See, Nipah hasn't been seen in this part of India since 2007. Just think about that for a second. It's been gone for more than a decade. So its sudden return, it suggests that it might have been spreading silently, completely undetected, and that is what has everyone so worried.
All of this leads to a pretty fundamental question, doesn't it? Where does a virus like Nipah even come from? Well, to answer that, we have to look to the animal kingdom.
The whole process is called zoonotic spillover. And yeah, that's a term we all got way too familiar with during the search for the origins of COVID-19. For Nipah, the main animal host is the flying fox fruit bat. So the virus jumps to people in a few ways. You can get it from direct contact with an infected bat, or maybe another animal like a pig. Or you could get it just by eating food, say a piece of fruit, that a bat has, well, contaminated.
Let me walk you through a classic example of how an outbreak can kick off. In places like Bangladesh, it often starts with date palm trees. So step 1, fruit bats contaminate the raw sap that people are collecting. Step 2, people drink that sap. It's a cultural delicacy over there. And then, step 3, once one person gets sick, the virus starts spreading from human to human through close contact. It's a really simple but totally devastating chain of events.
All right, so we know where it comes from and how it spreads, but what does it actually do to a person? Like, how dangerous is this thing really?
Okay, I just want you to pause and look at this number for a second. 40 to 70%. According to the CDC, that's the fatality rate. To put that into perspective, the seasonal flu, that's usually way, way below 0.1%. This one statistic, it pretty much explains the entire urgent global response, doesn't it?
And this disease moves fast. At first, it seems like the flu, a fever, headache, maybe a cough. But then it can quickly attack the brain. It causes this massive swelling, a condition called encephalitis, which is often fatal. And for the people who are lucky enough to survive, the virus can leave them with devastating, lifelong consequences, like permanent seizure disorders.
Now, while this current outbreak is grabbing all the headlines, the Nipah virus itself, it's not new. Not at all. It's actually really important to understand that this is a recurring threat and it has a long history. So Nipah first really hit the world's radar back in 1999. There was this outbreak in Malaysia among pig farmers, and it killed over 100 people. After that, it started popping up almost every single year in places like Bangladesh, usually following that seasonal harvest of date palm sap. And that brings us right back to today. Remember, it hasn't been seen in this particular part of India since 2007, and that long, quiet gap is exactly why its return now is setting off all the alarm bells.
Okay, so when you've got a virus that's this deadly and this persistent, it obviously raises a huge question. What are we doing about it? Well, that brings us to the global race for a solution.
This chart really lays out the good news and the bad news. So, the bad news first. Right now, there are no licensed treatments or vaccines. Zero. All doctors can really do is what's called supportive care, which basically means they manage your symptoms and just hope for the best. But, and this is a big but, the good news is that help is definitely on the way. Scientists are working on some really promising antibody treatments. We've got several vaccines already in various trial stages, and the World Health Organization has flagged Nipah as a top priority for research and development. So yeah, the scientific community is taking this very, very seriously.
So until we get that vaccine or a real cure, our only weapon, our best defense, is prevention. And honestly, it comes down to some pretty simple, practical stuff. We're talking about things like covering up date palm sap collection sites to keep bats out, and always boiling the juice before anyone drinks it. For farmers, it might mean thinking twice about setting up new pig farms right next to places where fruit bats hang out. It sounds small, but these little changes can be enough to completely break that chain of transmission.
So when you look at the big picture, Nipah is more than just this one virus, right? It's a warning shot. As human and animal habitats keep overlapping more and more, these kinds of spillovers are probably going to become more common. So the real question Nipah leaves us with is, how do we prevent the next one? How do we stop the next potential pandemic before it even gets a chance to start? That's the challenge, and it's one we all face together. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.